The knife hit the kitchen floor with a metallic thud. Not because she dropped it by accident, she let it fall. On purpose. Like punctuation. Like the end of a sentence she hadn't even spoken yet. She didn't blink. Just stared at me across the island, one hand still gripping the edge of the marble like she needed it to stay upright. I don't love you anymore. There it was. For words, the kind you think people only say in TV shows right before a divorce or a character death. For words that split the air sharper than that damn knife ever could. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She didn't even look angry. Just done. I was still chewing. I had no clue what I'd been eating. Some frozen pasta mess I microwaved for us, like every Tuesday night for the last 7 years. I hadn't even swallowed when she said it. So I choked. I actually choked, coughed hard, and reached for my water. She just stood there, arms crossed now, waiting for me to finish dying so I could hear the rest. I'm serious, she added, as if I'd somehow misunderstood. I remember glancing around the kitchen. The fridge magnet that said, "Good vibes only." The overwatered basil dying on the windowsill. The second chair at the island, the one she never used anymore. I said nothing. Because what do you say? What does a man say when the woman he made a life with, the woman who still wore the necklace he gave her on their 3rd anniversary, drops a bomb like that between bites of pasta? I tried humor. Is this about me forgetting to take the trash out again? She didn't laugh. She turned around, picked up her coat, and said she was going out. Said she'd be back later. Said we could talk more then. Talk more? She just told me she doesn't love me, and now she wants a rain check? No. Absolutely not. That's when something in me snapped. Quietly. Not with anger. Not even heartbreak. Just this slow, ice-cold realization. She had rehearsed this. This wasn't spontaneous. This was the script. She'd probably said it in front of a mirror. Maybe even practiced it on someone else. I didn't go after her. I didn't text. I didn't call. Instead, I walked into the bedroom, opened the drawer she thought I never touched, pulled out the dusty planner with the monogram D, and I started flipping. Page after page of her perfect handwriting, full of to-do lists, work notes, gym times, and names. One name in particular. Underlined. Circled. Meeting Kaleem, room 214. A room number. A time. A man's name I'd never heard her say. And a gut feeling that made me nauseous. This wasn't just about love dying. It was about something else entirely. And I was going to find out exactly what, even if it broke what little was left of me. The thing about instincts, real instincts, is that they don't scream. They whisper. And when I saw that name, Kaleem, written in neat cursive next to room 214, something deep in my stomach moved. Not panic. Not even anger. Just a hollow sort of knowing. Like my body already understood what my heart wasn't ready to process. I didn't wait for her to come home. I grabbed my coat, keys, and the planner, and walked out. The cold air bit into my face, but I didn't feel it. I was too focused on one thing, finding out who the hell Kaleem was, and what my wife was doing in room 214. The address listed in the planner was a boutique hotel downtown, not seedy, not flashy, just discreet enough for people who wanted to disappear for a few hours and come back to reality like nothing happened. I'd passed it hundreds of times. Never once imagined Denise had walked through those doors without me. When I got there, I didn't go straight in. I parked across the street and waited. Not because I had a plan. I didn't. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. My mind was racing with half-formed ideas, busting in, asking questions, maybe even pretending to be someone else to get the room number. But I didn't have to. At exactly 5:58 p.m., I saw her. Denise. She exited the hotel's side entrance in a red coat I'd never seen before. Her hair was messy, not like wind messy, more like rushed hands messy. Her lips were raw. Her phone was in her hand, but she wasn't texting. She looked stunned. Hollow. A different kind of tired. And then I saw him. Kaleem, or at least, I assumed it was him, came out just a few seconds later. Mid-40s, tall, athletic, expensive-looking scarf thrown carelessly around his neck. He didn't follow her. He just lit a cigarette and stood there, watching her disappear down the street like she was a customer who had just returned a product. I wanted to go after her. I wanted to scream. But my legs wouldn't move. My breath caught in my throat. I just sat there and watched this man, this stranger, take a slow drag from his cigarette like nothing had just happened. Back home, the silence felt like violence. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't ask where she'd been. I didn't need to. She came in, changed into pajamas, microwaved soup, and sat on the opposite side of the couch scrolling through Instagram like her betrayal had expired with her day. I lay awake until 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, going over every conversation we'd had over the past few months. All the moments I thought were just distant phases, work stress, bad sleep. All of it was cover. She hadn't drifted. She'd left. Quietly. Precisely. And somehow, I just stood there holding the door open for her. The next morning, I tried to talk. "Do you still want to be here?" I asked her softly, as she sipped her coffee at the kitchen table. She didn't look at me, just stirred the cup. "I don't know," she said, and took another sip like she was answering a question about vacation plans. That was it. "No, I'm sorry." No explanation. Just a flat, dead "I don't know." Like she hadn't just torn 12 years of our life in half and handed me the smaller piece. And here's where it got worse. Later that day, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey, Wendell. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. It's about Denise. Please don't ignore this." I stared at it for a long time. My heart was pounding in my ears. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know if it was a prank. But something in my gut said this was the part where everything came undone. Because if strangers were texting me about my wife, that meant the story I thought I was living in wasn't just falling apart. It meant I was the last one to know. I didn't reply to the text right away. I just stared at the screen like it was radioactive. The message was short, calm, too calm. No name, no details, just "it's about Denise." My heart kept thudding like a warning bell in my chest, the kind that tells you something's about to break, and it might be you. I waited 3 hours. That was my instinct. Freeze, shut down, hope it disappears. Maybe it was a scam. Maybe someone overheard something and wanted drama. Maybe I wanted to believe it was nothing, because if it was something, then I'd have to admit the truth out loud. But then came the second text. "Room 214 wasn't the first time. And it won't be the last. She's good at hiding it, but not perfect." My stomach dropped. I didn't even remember unlocking my phone. My fingers were already typing before my brain caught up. "Who are you?" Seconds passed. Then, "We've met. Briefly. My sister is dating Kaleem. That's how I found out. Denise doesn't know I exist." Now I was pacing. Full on, back and forth, fists clenched, jaw tight. The idea that this was bigger than one affair, that it had layers, was too much to process. Before I could ask more, another message arrived. "Check your email." I sent photos. "You need to know who she is when you're not around." I sprinted to my laptop like I was on fire. Opened my inbox. There it was, one message, no subject, just an attachment labeled Friday evening sequence.jpg. Click. There were 8 photos. In each one, Denise was wearing that same red coat. But it wasn't the photos that made my hands start shaking, it was the timestamps. Each image was taken at a different hotel over the last 6 weeks. Not the same one. Different hotels. Different days. Different cities. In one of them, I could clearly see Kaleem. In another, someone else. Someone I recognized. Bryce. Our old neighbor. The guy who helped us move 3 years ago. The guy Denise swore she couldn't stand because he made sexist jokes. I clicked the next photo. And the next. And the next. In one, Denise was holding hands with him in a parking garage. In another, she was walking into a hotel with a hoodie pulled over her head like she was sneaking into a crime scene. I couldn't breathe. There was no more maybe. No more maybe it's just Kaleem. No more maybe this can be fixed. This wasn't about a spark dying. This was strategy. Cold, calculated betrayal. I slammed the laptop shut and just sat there, head in my hands, waiting for the room to stop spinning. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went numb, like someone hit a reset button on my nervous system. An hour later, Denise came home. And she was glowing. I don't mean happy glowing. I mean something happened glowing. Her cheeks were flushed. Her hair still had the shape of a car headrest pressed into it. She dropped her bag like nothing mattered and said, "Hey babe, I'm starving. Want time?" I looked right at her. I mean right into her soul. She smiled, wide and bright, completely unbothered. And I realized something. She thought I would never find out. She thought I was so harmless, so passive, so Wendell, that I'd just float through life while she lived a double one. That night, after she went to sleep, peacefully, like someone without a conscience, I opened that laptop again, looked at every photo, zoomed in, studied details, faces, backgrounds, dates, times, and then I started planning. Not revenge. I'm not that guy. But clarity. I wanted to see how far it went. What she would do. Who else might show up? So the next day, I left something on the kitchen counter for her. My phone, unlocked, open to a fake message thread between me and another woman. Her name? Faye. The messages? Carefully written. Just vague enough. Just flirty enough. Just suspicious enough. I wanted to see how Denise would react to thinking I was the one hiding something. And what she did next changed everything. The phone sat on the kitchen counter like bait. A simple screen left unlocked, just enough of a glimpse to invite curiosity, to trigger suspicion. A conversation thread with someone named Faye. Short messages. Flirty emojis. One line that said, "Last night was unexpected. Let's not make it the last." I didn't hear her come into the kitchen that morning. I was upstairs in the hallway, brushing my teeth, listening like my life depended on it. I heard the silence first, that heavy, breath-holding kind of silence. Then the shuffle of her footsteps stopping. Then nothing. I waited. A full minute passed before I heard her open the fridge, pretending to look for something. The performance was obvious. She stood there too long. Then came the unmistakable sound of the phone being moved. Picked up. Scrolled. Tapped. She didn't call out to me. She just left it exactly where I'd left it, but angled differently. She wasn't careful. She didn't think I'd notice. But I had marked the exact placement down to the corner of the cutting board. And now it had moved. That night, she was strange. Too calm. Too gentle. Too interested in me. She asked me 3 separate times if I was tired, if I wanted to relax early, if I wanted her to run a bath, things she hadn't offered in months. I played along. Said little. Let her touch my arm. Let her pretend she cared again. Around 10 p.m., while I pretended to sleep on the couch, I heard her whispering in the hallway. Soft voice. Phone pressed to her ear. Steps pacing. Are you sure? He might suspect something. No, I didn't say anything. I'm just watching him now. I stayed still. My pulse throbbed in my temple. She wasn't talking to Kaleem. This voice, this panic, it didn't fit what I'd seen of her with him. This was damage control. This was someone who felt the sand slipping through her fingers. When she tiptoed back into the living room, I shut my eyes fully and waited. She sat on the edge of the couch and just stared at me. I could feel it. That strange sixth sense when someone's eyes are burning into you. I could smell her perfume. She was breathing slowly, deliberately. Then she whispered, barely audible. Please don't fall in love with someone else. My eyelids twitched. What did she just say? I wanted to sit up. I wanted to grab her and scream. Why does it matter? You told me you didn't love me. You told me you were done. But I stayed still, pretended I hadn't heard. And eventually, she walked away. The next morning, I confronted her, not directly, but emotionally. I said I'd been thinking a lot about us. That I wanted honesty. That I'd been feeling like I wasn't enough lately. Denise didn't flinch. She hugged me. She said, I'm so sorry I've been distant. I've been scared. I thought you were slipping away. Slipping away? I was drowning in her silence for months. But now that there was another woman in the equation, even a fake one, she wanted to hold on. I nodded, told her I understood. But inside, something shifted. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was war. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing control over me. I had been her safety net. Her warm, soft home base to crawl back to after every secret meeting in hotel rooms, every text sent under tablecloths. But now the illusion cracked. And that night, when she went to bed early and left her phone unattended for the first time in weeks, I took my chance. I opened it. No password change. No two-factor authentication. Just instinctual trust on her part, or maybe arrogance. Inside was a hidden photo vault. I didn't even know she had one. The icon was disguised as a weather app. Inside it, 19 videos, 46 images, 7 saved audio messages. Some with Kaleem, some with Bryce, one with someone I didn't recognize, one from our own living room. They filmed in our house, our couch, our floor, our bedroom. And in one video, mid-recording, she actually laughed and pointed at our wedding photo while lying in another man's arms. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't even blink. This wasn't just infidelity. This was mockery. And suddenly, every pathetic excuse I'd made for her evaporated. It didn't matter if I cried. It didn't matter if I begged. It didn't matter if I still loved her or wanted to fix things. Because she had already burned the bridge, danced on the ashes, and pressed record while doing it. I shut the phone off, walked out into the cold, sat in my car with the engine off for hours. And that's when I realized something else. Denise wasn't just cheating on me. She was building another life, and I wasn't part of it. But I was about to be the wrecking ball through the center of hers. I had every reason to lose it. To wake her up at 3 in the morning and shove the phone in her face. To scream, to shout, to demand an explanation for how she could turn our home, our supposed safe place, into the set of her private betrayals. But I didn't. Instead, I did the one thing she never expected. I let her pretend everything was fine. The next morning, I made her breakfast. Pancakes. Strawberries. The syrup she liked, the one that cost twice as much but came in the fancy bottle. I even lit a candle. Denise walked in wearing the oversized sweater I bought her for Christmas 2 years ago, the same one she wore during our last vacation when we still laughed like a couple that made sense. She looked at the table and tilted her head. "This is cute," she said with a grin, walking over and kissing me on the cheek. I forced a smile. Just wanted to do something nice. She sat down, took a bite, and acted like everything was perfectly normal. No mention of the phone, no confession, no guilt. Just casual conversation about weekend plans, a new series she wanted to watch, and how she missed our little routines. I nodded, listened, played along. But inside, I was watching every movement, every expression, cataloging it like evidence. The camera footage, that wasn't just a betrayal. It was a test of how blind I could be. She filmed it on the couch where I folded her laundry, on the floor where I wrapped her birthday gift. She had looked into that camera, into our life, and laughed. After breakfast, I took a walk. Not far. Just to the park 3 blocks down. I sat on the same bench I used to sit on when we were trying to conceive. The one where she told me she wanted to be a mother more than anything. That memory hit like a baseball bat. She said she wanted a baby, but maybe she just wanted someone to complete the picture, not the family. When I got home, her car was gone. I knew where she'd gone her afternoon yoga class. Every Tuesday and Thursday. Same time. Same lie. So I made another move. I contacted the stranger again, the one who first messaged me. Turns out his name was Marcus. And Marcus had been holding back. He sent me a full folder this time. Dozens of screenshots. Transcripts. Messages Denise had sent to Kaleem and Bryce and one more guy, a name I didn't even recognize, Deshaun. She called me dull. Predictable. Too soft to ever suspect anything. She wrote things like, "Wendell's harmless. I could cheat in front of him, and he'd still make me dinner after. Sometimes I forget we're even married. He's not really a man, just a body in the house." And that was the first time I truly wanted to disappear. Not from the marriage. From myself. It wasn't just that she betrayed me. It's that she convinced herself I deserved it. I stared at the screen, shaking, hands numb. Every sentence more venomous than the last. And yet, I couldn't cry. I had passed that threshold. There's a level of pain that goes beyond tears. It just silences you. Denise got back 2 hours later. Gym bag over her shoulder. Freshly showered. Slight blush in her cheeks. She leaned into the doorway of my office like we were still on speaking terms. "Want to watch something tonight?" she asked. I'm kind of in a cozy mood. I turned slowly in my chair, looked her dead in the eyes, and asked, "Do you love me?" She blinked, paused, a half-second longer than normal. "Of course I do," she said softly. And I swear, she said it like she believed it. I nodded. "Okay," I replied, standing up. "Let's watch something then." I walked past her and felt nothing, because her lies no longer hurt. They simply confirmed what I already knew. Denise wasn't going to tell me the truth. She thought I was still in the dark. So I planned the only thing that would make her see the light. I went to a jewelry store that weekend. Not to buy her a ring. To buy myself time. I asked them to clean and resize her wedding band. Told them it was a surprise gift to celebrate our anniversary. They agreed to keep it for 3 days. And when I handed it to them and walked out, I felt lighter. Because for the first time in years, she wasn't wearing the symbol of our marriage. She didn't notice. Not even once. And when she finally did, on the day everything came crashing down, it was already too late. The ring box sat in the drawer beside her vanity, empty. 3 days had passed since I'd taken it under the pretense of having it polished and resized. 3 days of Denise walking around the house so distracted by her own stories, she didn't notice the symbol of our marriage missing from her finger. But I did. I noticed everything. I had entered a kind of quiet detachment, not numbness, not rage, just a strange calm that comes with finally seeing things clearly. I knew she wasn't going to stop. I knew the messages to Kaleem and Bryce and Deshaun were still happening. I knew she was playing out multiple versions of herself to suit the different men she was stringing along. But what she didn't know was that I had invited someone over. Someone she would not expect. Sunday morning came. I made coffee, like always. Played the part. She shuffled into the kitchen in that oversized hoodie she claimed she couldn't sleep without, even though I knew she'd worn it in one of the videos with Bryce. "Morning," she muttered, rubbing her eyes, phone still in her hand. "Morning," I replied, handing her a cup without making eye contact. I'd already sent the messages. 11 invitations. To friends, to neighbors, to her sister, to her yoga buddies, even to Marcus, the stranger who first warned me. I told them I needed help pulling off a surprise vow renewal for Denise at the house. Told them to come by at noon. To dress casually. That she had no idea. And that I needed one small favor. Don't mention the ring. Don't mention anything. Just be here. By 11:30, the house was buzzing. Denise was upstairs, curling her hair, humming. I told her we were going out to brunch, and she seemed excited. I could hear her phone buzzing intermittently, probably confirming plans with one of her side stories in case I bailed again. But I had no intention of bailing. At 11:57, the doorbell rang again. The last guest. Marcus. I let him in, heart racing. We nodded. No small talk. We both knew what this was about. At 12:01, I asked everyone to move into the living room. I stood in front of the fireplace, where Denise and I had taken our first Christmas photo as husband and wife. I cleared my throat. Everyone looked up. The room went still. "Thanks for coming, everyone." "Really? Denise has no idea you're all here." I told her we were going to brunch, but I lied. I lied because today's not about breakfast or surprises. I swallowed hard. It's about truth. And finally setting myself free. And then I called her down. "Denise, can you come here for a second?" She descended the stairs slowly, phone in hand, clearly confused. Her eyes darted from face to face, unsure if this was a party or an ambush. She gave a forced little laugh. "What is going on?" I smiled. "We're celebrating." "Kind of." She froze. "What?" I reached into my back pocket and pulled out the ring box. Held it up. "You've been missing this. But it doesn't really belong to you anymore." The air changed. You could feel it. Like pressure dropping before a storm. "Wendell, what are you?" I opened the box, showing the empty cushion where her wedding band had rested for nearly a decade. "You lost this the moment you turned our home into a stage. The moment you filmed men in our bedroom. The moment you laughed at me in front of a camera while lying under someone else." Gasps. A few hands went to mouths. Denise went pale. "Wendell, don't do this," she whispered, eyes wide. "Too late," I said calmly. "I already did." I pulled the small projector from the TV stand. Powered it up. And before she could run, before she could grab her phone, before she could scream, the screen lit up. Photos. Messages. Footage. Not graphic. Nothing that would breach anyone's dignity. But enough. Enough to show faces. Enough to show betrayal. Enough to burn whatever lies she had left into ash. Someone cried. Someone else stood up and left the room. Her sister yelled, "Denise, what the hell is this?" Denise covered her mouth, trembling, shaking her head like she could somehow undo it all. "No. No. Please. This isn't what it looks like." I stared at her. "It looks like the truth. And I finally see it." She tried to come closer. "Wendell, I was scared. I was lost. I didn't know how to ask for more." I stepped back. "You didn't ask. You took." The room was silent. And then, Marcus spoke up from the back. "She did the same to my sister. Kaleem lied to her too. They both got played." Denise spun around, her eyes wide with recognition, her mouth forming his name. How do you?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because she finally understood. Her world wasn't just cracking, it was collapsing. I turned to the guests. "Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry you had to witness this. But I needed it to be real. I needed it to be seen." And with that, I walked to the door, picked up my bag, and turned one last time. She was still frozen in place, surrounded by the wreckage she built with her own hands. And then I said the words she never expected from me. "I don't love you anymore." And this time, she was the one left crying. The strange part was how quiet everything felt afterward. No police. No screaming. No dramatic chase into the driveway. Just silence. I walked away without slamming the door. Nobody followed. The air outside was heavy and warm, like it hadn't yet caught up with what had just happened inside that house. I climbed into my car, gripped the steering wheel for a long moment, and then drove off, not toward any destination in particular, just away. That was all I needed. Away from her. away from it, from everything I thought I knew. I ended up parked outside a hardware store of all places. I sat there for nearly 40 minutes, watching people come and go with bags of tools and garden hoses and little boxes of screws. Just normal people doing normal things. None of them had any idea that 2 hours earlier, I had detonated the truth in a living room full of people who had believed we were the perfect couple. Or maybe not perfect, but stable, quiet, harmless. Turns out we were neither. And me? I had no idea what I was supposed to be now. I wasn't a husband anymore. I wasn't anyone's emotional anchor. The only thing I still owned was the knowledge of what she'd done, and the terrifying clarity that it had never really been about me at all. What stung more than the betrayal was how little I seemed to matter in the aftermath. I didn't get angry texts from her. No tears. No apologies. Denise didn't even try to call me that first day. She didn't chase me like I always feared I'd have to chase her. No, she vanished, folded herself back into the silence like a ghost who knew she'd been caught haunting the wrong man. But it didn't last. The second night, at 2:14 a.m., my phone lit up with a call from a number that used to belong to her, but was now simply labeled, Denise, do not answer. I stared at it. Let it ring. Then let it ring again when she called back 4 more times over the next 20 minutes. Finally, I turned the phone off. When I turned it on the next morning, there were 2 voicemails and a barrage of texts. Wendell, I need to explain. Please don't do this. That wasn't all it looked like. You don't understand what I've been going through. I made mistakes, but I didn't mean to hurt you. You blindsided me in front of everyone. That was cruel. Cruel. That word sat like acid in my chest. As if I was the villain in the story now. As if I had forced her to lie, cheat, record her little hotel rendezvous. As if my pain had no place in her rewritten script. And yet, I couldn't shake one thing she said in that last message. You don't understand what I've been going through. I didn't. And a small, stupid part of me still wanted to. So I called her. Just once. She picked up immediately. Her voice trembled. Wendell? Thank you. Thank you for it. I cut her off. I just want to know why. There was a long pause. Then she said something I didn't expect. Because I couldn't stand how safe it all felt. I said nothing. She continued. You did everything right. You were kind. Predictable. Always there. You made me feel like I was living inside a padded room. I needed to feel something. You needed to cheat to feel alive? I asked, voice flat. No, she said quickly. Not at first. At first, I just needed attention. Then it got complicated. Then it got addictive. There it was. Addictive. Like I was the boring salad she ate every day, and cheating was the candy bar she couldn't stop sneaking when no one was looking. I didn't yell. Didn't insult her. I just breathed through the ugly truth. And then she said it, the one thing I never saw coming. I saw you with her, Wendell. The woman. That day. What woman? The one you were holding hands with on the porch. I blinked. It took me a second to remember. 3 weeks ago, the day after she first told me she didn't love me anymore, my cousin Eleanor had dropped by to check on me. She grabbed my hand when I broke down crying on the steps. It was nothing more than that. But apparently Denise had driven past, seen it, and now, her voice cracked. You never held my hand like that. Not in years. I almost laughed. She was jealous. She betrayed me, humiliated me, gutted me, and that was the moment that broke her? I didn't hold your hand, I said quietly, because every time I tried, you pulled it away. Silence. Then she whispered, I think I hate myself. And for the first time, I believed her. I didn't say it back. I didn't tell her it was okay. Because it wasn't. But I also didn't hang up. Not right away. I just let her sit in the wreckage with me for 1 more minute, both of us surrounded by the aftermath of a love that had never been equal. Then I ended the call. Not with anger. Not with hope. Just with the understanding that whatever we'd been was done. It's been 5 months since that call. Funny how time doesn't ask for permission to heal you. It just starts. Quietly. A little bit each morning. At first, the pain feels like a squatter's fire inside your ribs, something you can't control, can't evict. But then you realize you're waking up without her voice in your head. That breakfast doesn't taste like guilt anymore. That your bed is no longer a battlefield. You realize you've survived. I moved out 2 weeks after the fallout. Packed slowly. Deliberately. I left the ring box behind, not out of cruelty, but because I didn't want it anymore. I didn't need to carry broken symbols into the next chapter. And I didn't leave a note. I figured I'd said enough in the living room, in front of everyone, where she couldn't twist the story later. The apartment I moved into wasn't anything special. One bedroom, leaky faucet, creaky floors. But it was mine. Every object in it was placed by my hand. Every decision, from the crooked art to the second-hand rug, was mine again. And that felt like freedom. The positive part? You're probably waiting for some kind of dramatic twist, a new love interest, a lottery win, a Hollywood moment where the guy who was left behind becomes the hero everyone cheers for. But that's not how real life works. My real ending was quieter. Better. It started with a woman named Mira. I met her at the bookstore down the street, not in a cliché, romantic way. I dropped my coffee on her shoe, apologized 17 times, and then awkwardly offered to pay for her copy of The Bell Jar. She told me I didn't have to, then laughed and said, "You look like someone who needs a win today." We didn't date right away. We talked. A lot. Over coffee. On long walks. She listened without trying to fix me. She asked questions not to pry, but to understand. She told me her own story, a different kind of heartbreak, but with the same hollow echo at its core. And slowly, without meaning to, we helped each other remember what it felt like to be safe again. No games. No secrets. Just kindness. Soft, real, honest kindness. One night, I told her everything. About Denise. The videos. The fake messages. The living room reveal. She didn't flinch. She just reached across the table, placed her hand over mine, and said, "You didn't deserve any of that. But I'm proud of how you stood up." And that was it. Not pity. Not flattery. Just real words. Denise reached out one more time last month. A long email. She said she was in therapy. That she understood what she did now. That she hoped I was okay, truly okay. She didn't ask to get back together. She didn't blame me. Just closure. I didn't respond. Not out of spite, but because I didn't need to anymore. Some wounds don't close with apologies. They close with growth. So if you're someone who's been there, if you've had your world pulled out from under you by the person who once promised to hold it together, I want to say this. You will heal. Not perfectly. Not quickly. But you will. And one day, without realizing it, you'll laugh in a bookstore while your coffee soaks someone's shoe, and you'll think, "This wasn't the life I expected, but it's mine now." And that will be enough. That will be everything. Wendell.